last words I have heard all night.
I just want to talk, so be serious.
When we're alone, I become delirious.
Listen, you should not speak to me like that. Come in.
I can't conceal the way that I feel. I plead with you to hear one last appeal.
I'm tortured by this torch that you carry. Your pain will be ended.
Be ended.
I want you to marry.
Get married, me. That shall not be. I love you alone, my love, my own.
I beg you be still. You cannot speak like that to me, Camille. For I am a virtuous wife, enjoying my station in life. My husband's rich and devoted, and loves me alone, as you've noted. Though virtue is duller than vice, the price is too high for spice. So why should I trifle with life? It's nice for a virtuous wife. What else could it lead to but ruin and scandal? This game must be ended. It's not worth a gamble. Beware, beware, there's danger there. So do not play with fire, my friend. As you're aware, a torch could flare and scorch you badly in the end. Though you're yearning for a flash of pain, you may be burned beyond repair. So don't ignite your heart tonight, or you'll have reason to beware.
To flirt with a virtuous wife can take all the joy out of life. I swear to protect your position if you'll give a sign of submission. But if you are careless and cold, I'll live out my life unconsoled and wish for the rest of my life that you weren't a virtuous wife. In spite of the danger, I'll stay near the fire. If it were extinguished, then I would expire.
Beware, beware.
Now I'm aware you do not care, so why do you pretend?
As you're aware,
I'm all alone, and in despair, your love is at an end.
though you're yearning for a flash of flame,
Love would never say, beware, beware, or run away.
so don't ignite your heart tonight.
Your love is unaware of
these
the love.
That's a nice way to start out our morning listening here on Live from FM 91. We heard Caroline Miller performing the role of Valenciennes and Drake Dantzler performing the role of Camille de Roussillon. We just heard a little duet. That comes from Toledo Opera's upcoming production of The Merry Widow by Franz Lehar. Good morning and welcome to Live from FM 91, conversation and performance with some of the area's finest musicians and visiting guest artists. I'm Brad Cresswell. We're coming to you today from the Dana Performance Studio here at WGTE. I've got a few folks with me now from the production of The Merry Widow. I want to introduce them to you. That would be the Merry Widow herself, Alyson Cambridge. Welcome, Alyson.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And welcome back to the show. You haven't been here since 2019, I believe, with Carmen, was that right?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, although we have talked, we did a little Zoom interview when you came back and did the gala for Toledo Opera. And we also have Keith Phares here in the studio with us. Now, welcome, Keith.
Hello.
And we talked a little while back about your faculty recital at Bowling Green State University. You're on faculty there, but you also have a career as a world-famous opera singer. And you are singing the role of Count Danilo Danilovich. We'll talk more about him in a bit. I also have the co-directors of The Merry Widow here with me, Jamie Offenbach. Hello, Jamie.
Aloha to you.
And also Jim Norman. Welcome to you, Jim.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, you've been here before, so you know the drill, as it were.
I do. I'm usually in the background, though.
I do want to mention that our accompanist for today is our friend Kevin Bylsma, and he's at the piano, and we heard a little duet from Caroline and Drake. We're going to hear more in a bit, but first we're going to talk about The Merry Widow. This is happening a week from today, actually, Friday, February 10th at 7:30 p.m., and Sunday, February 12th at 2 o'clock p.m., it's at the Valentine Theater. You can get more information at toledoopera.org, or you can call them up at 419-255-SING. That's 7464. And Toledo Opera is a sponsor of programs here on FM 91. So let's talk about The Merry Widow. Maybe I'll start with the co-directors here, Jim and Jamie. And you can tell me in 5 words or less, what is the plot of The Merry Widow?
5 words or less. Okay, Jim, go for it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jamie.
I'm giving.
You're very giving.
Yeah. But what's it about? And this is like one of those popular operettas that actually gets performed, the whole thing. You know, often we hear like an overture to some forgotten operetta in the concert hall, but you're doing the whole thing here. So what do you have to say about the opera itself?
Well, we're in Paris, and the widow is recently widowed, and she's come into a lot of money, 200 million francs. So Pontevedra is a fictitious country, as in all operettas, and the fatherland is broke, and they need her to marry a Pontevedrian so we can keep those 200 millions in the country. So there are several suitors who would love to wed her for her money, but Danilo comes along and they've had a history. And that throws a whole wrench into the whole story. So we'll let you come to the opera and see how it all fleshes out.
Yeah, that's more than 5 words.
Sorry.
But
well
okay.
said.
It's an operetta in 3 acts.
Well said. I salute
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
know what you're doing.
Yeah, well, let's talk with our 2 artists here, Alyson Cambridge and Keith Phares. Alyson, you agree with that? You're smiling. You agree with everything Jim said?
Yes, yes.
Because if you disagree, now's the time.
No, I agree with all of that. And what's fun and makes it an operetta is there are lots of fun little twists and turns, and love triangles, quadrangles, and yes,
and dancing,
and lots of dancing and familiar tunes.
Well, the duet that we heard is between the couple Camille and Valenciennes. They're sort of the subplot, right?
Yeah, they're like the junior couple.
That's where the quadrangle comes into play, right, between the 4 of you. So you guys have a history, as it were, in the performance. Now, this is basically a comic operetta, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's the first time you've done something comedic on stage since the pandemic wiped out so many performances.
Oh, absolutely. And it's, I think, since Barbara Seville that we've done a comedy on stage.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
And it's a great time to bring it back, as you said, because of the pandemic, and things should be a little bit on the lighter side, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think of working together? I mean, the singer standpoint, Keith, you can talk a little bit about working with co-directors, because that's not necessarily the usual modus operandi. How has that been?
Oh,
and they're sitting right here, by the way, so you can only say good things.
It's Brad, it's miserable. I'm just joking. No, it's been seamless. It's been seamless. I don't feel like it's been a change.
Yeah.
We've been working very closely with Jamie and Jim.
Yeah.
To just make sure we have a clear idea of what we're doing.
Because there's so many parts to an operetta.
Right.
Yeah. You know, it's not just a Park and Bark grand opera. There's so many, the dialogue, the dancers, the chorus, all of these props that have to, this fan that goes throughout the story is quite important. So there's all those different things that it helps to have two sets of eyes on.
Yeah, and I would say there is a definite vision that happens at the beginning, but it becomes a collaborative experience when everybody gets into the room, from the choreographer to the maestro that we have, to our artists who are fantastic at bringing something to the table. So everybody's adding to the brief.
In my previous experience with this piece, I remember it took a village. It took a village to get this together, because there were so many aspects to it, and so
well, it's a large cast for one thing.
Yes.
I mean, when you look at the website at ToledoOpera.org, you can see like all the singers that are involved in the production, and it's a long list of soloists. Now, Keith, you've done this role before,
Yes.
And what about you, Alyson?
Yes, this is my third time.
Wow, your third time. Well, we're glad that you're gracing us with your version of Hannah, the Merry Widow. We're going to hear more about the Merry Widow in a moment, but first, we're going to turn it over to you, Keith. Can you introduce the piece of music you're going to sing? It's a very catchy melody.
It is. This is Danilo's entrance aria. Although very different in style, it reminds me of the bel canto cavatina, where the character comes out and this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is who I am. Danilo loves a good time. He likes to feel alive, and his if you remember the show Cheers, he's talking about Maxime's. That's like his Cheers, except there's a lot more going on at Maxime's.
So he's the Ted Danson to your Danilo, right?
I guess so. Yeah. He comes into the scene because he's been called to the fatherland. He's a diplomat. He's been called in for something very serious. He doesn't know what it is, but he has just spent the evening at Maxime's. He kind of stumbles in. He's a little worn down, and the first line he says, the fatherland asks for Count Danilo, and here he is. Where's the fatherland? And so this aria is basically about his experience at Maxime's, and he gets to canoodle with all the grisettes, and
the grisettes being like the showgirls,
like
Lolo,
JoJo,
Dodo,
and Juju,
and
don't forget Margot.
And Margot.
Poor Margot.
Surprise.
Yeah, and these are portrayed on the stage. These characters also.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
they're
they're just
the
part of
grisettes who
that-
dance
that-
the can-can.
Yeah, that big
By our
big
brilliant
cast.
choreographer Dom Glover, who's a local dancer here.
Yeah, who's conducting the show?
J. Ernest Green,
Okay.
who actually went to the University of Toledo as a trombone major, and then went on to Peabody to get his conducting skills, and he's conducted with Marvin Hamlish, the late Marvin Hamlish, and now with Paul Schaefer of Late Show
the
with
Late
David
Show.
Letterman. Mhm.
Yeah,
Great colleague to work with.
So he has quite a pedigree when it comes to this sort of music.
Absolutely.
That's great. Well, Keith, let's let you get to the microphone and sing with the pianist Kevin Bylsma. We're going to hear I'm Going to Maxime's, sort of the entrance aria of the character Count Danilovich, sung by Keith Phares, here on Live from FM 91.
Oh, fatherland, I must protest. Because of you I get no rest. Affairs of state that you require are not affairs that I desire. I dedicate my days to you. I'm at my desk from 12 to 2. I catch a breakfast on the run and never stop for lunch till 1. When the papers take up too much space, I file them in my fireplace. For no one seems to know or care just what I do or why I'm there. The conferences that I attend fill me with horror and with dread, because they never seem to end. And when they do, the issue's dead. At times I feel I won't escape, that I'll be strangled in red tape. That's why I have to get away. So every night you'll hear me say, I'm going to Maxime's to lose myself in dreams. I'll play in that oasis with all those lovely faces. La la do do ju ju, cuckoo go flu flu. They help me to forget my beloved fatherland. I'll drown in dry champagne, where wine and women reign. They'll send my troubles chasing, while lovingly embracing. Lo lo, do do, ju ju, cuckoo go flu flu. They help me to forget my beloved fatherland.
We heard an aria from the baritone Keith Phares, along with pianist Kevin Bylsma. Keith is playing the role of Count Danilo in The Merry Widow by Franz Lehar. It's opening at Toledo Opera a week from today, February 10th, Friday evening at 7:30 p.m. There's another matinee performance at 2 o'clock p.m. the following Sunday, February 12th. This is all happening at the Valentine Theater. You can find more information at toledoopera.org, or you can call them up at 419-255-7464. That's 419-255-SING. And Toledo Opera is a sponsor of programs on FM 91. Keith, kudos to you for singing that aria. It's not really easy, is it?
It is not.
Yeah.
It was the first time I performed Merry Widow. I was 32, if I'm doing the math correctly, and I remember it being.
This was last year, right?
Yeah, it was last year. It was last year, but it was high then.
Yeah.
And I remember I was doing the Dottie Danner production, and tons and tons and tons and tons of dancing. I think I lost about 10 pounds just going to rehearsal.
You went on the Danilo diet.
I did. Right? It was the Danilo diet.
Well, I'm joined here, if you're just tuning into Live from FM 91, I've got Keith Phares. I also have Alyson Cambridge, who is playing the title role in The Merry Widow. Let's hear about the Merry Widow herself. Tell us a little bit about this character, Alyson.
Well, she's lost her very wealthy husband. She's been left a fortune. She's coming to Paris looking for a good time, perhaps to meet a gentleman. And she is, she's formerly a peasant girl herself, and she has a bit of a past with Danilo. Not much to her surprise, when she arrives in Paris, she has lots of suitors who are claiming to be interested in her for her beauty and her charm, but you know, she's a wise one, and suspects they might be after her for her money. Alas, she runs into Danilo, and there's a spark after all these years. Yeah. And again, without giving everything away, some shenanigans ensue, a bit of flirting, a tete-a-tete, if you will. And And so that's sort of what happens, and maybe there's a happy ending.
Yeah, we're saving some of the info from the operetta to the end, so people have to come see it, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Now, let me talk with the co-directors here, Jim Norman and Jamie Offenbach. Jamie, you've been here before with your directing hat on. Can you tell us a little bit about your
Actually, this is my
experience?
first time with the company as a director. I was here back in 2014 as Mephistopheles in Faust. Yes, and I retired from the stage just right before the pandemic and have moved back home to Hawaii, which is where I'm from. And I'm the artistic director there for Hawaii Opera Theater and have gotten into directing. And so my buddy here just called me up and he said, hey, why don't you come down to Toledo and we'll do this together? And of course, I jumped at the chance.
That's wonderful. So have all the singers said they want to sing in Hawaii now?
Not yet, but I'm expecting.
Hi, Alyson Cambridge signing up for duty.
Yeah,
Especially right now with the weather as it is.
I haven't noticed.
That's a lie.
Yeah. Tell me about the process of co-direction. I mean, how does that work for the two of you? I mean, you obviously know each other fairly well.
Yeah, I think it can either be a blessing or a curse. In this case, I would say it was a blessing. We naturally fit together very, very well. I hope the cast agrees with that. There's a symbiotic relationship ever since the beginning that we started this process with rewriting the script, because I wasn't happy with the script, so I took it upon myself to write that script, and then Jim would give me notes back, and we would add those into the. So from the very beginning, I think we worked really well together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the script is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Well, from your prior experience as a singer, does that play into how you work with other fellow singers?
I think so, yeah. I like to try to give a little bit of leeway when I'm directing. Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned at the beginning, there's an overall vision at the beginning that I start with, and I come into it, and it's all in my head. But to actualize it and put it on stage, of course, you have to be amenable to change and to listen to artists who bring in their dearth of knowledge and want to create. So I think I allow for that. I believe I do allow for that.
Yeah.
You absolutely do. Both of you do. And it's really a wonderful process. As Jim said earlier, it's great having two eyes on the stage in a rehearsal, because Jamie might pick up on something, a nuance within the dialogue of a scene, and then Jim will notice, oh my gosh, chorus girl number 4 didn't enter and she forgot to bring the tray, and then this and then that.
Would that be Margot? Or
We can't blame Margot for that one.
We can't blame Margot for much. And then also, I've worked with Jamie before as a singer, actually in a production of The Merry Widow, and so it's been very nice. He sort of already knows sort of how I've done Merry Widow in the past,
right.
And even though this is your joint co-production, they both have been able to be like, hey, if you want to infuse a little bit of Alyson here or whatever, go with your gut. And that's always nice to have that trust and collaborative spirit with directors.
It shouldn't be a dictatorship, right? I mean, otherwise it just becomes a really uncomfortable, not a good situation. And I, in the past, have had that quite often in my career. So I want to get rid of that.
If a singer isn't comfortable on stage, it's going to show. So if you tell, you've got to cross down here, and they just don't feel it, the audience is going to know that. They're like, they were told to just walk down there. Yeah. So I think it's really important to have that collaboration so everyone feels comfortable, because they have to bring the characters to life.
Yeah, sounds like a wonderful rehearsal period, which you're in right now. You've got a week until the show opens. Alyson, you've got some of the best music in the show. You've got, that wonderful, wonderful song Viglia, which you're going to sing for us momentarily. I wonder if you can introduce that, talk a little bit about that piece.
It's really sort of a standalone piece in that it doesn't move along the plot of the story of the Merry Widow. Rather, it's a song that she's singing from their beloved Pontevedra, from their own country. It's sort of not a folk song, but it's a familiar tune to all of the people who were at her party. And it's one that she starts singing. She's like, come on, let's sing this nostalgic song from our homeland. And as she starts singing, everybody, of course, knows the words, and everybody starts singing along. And whether you've been to an operetta or the Merry Widow before, I guarantee anybody who's new to this audience, they will know this song. Oh, yes, I've heard this one. Oh, it's so pretty.
I think it's where Rodgers and Hammerstein got Edelweiss. I really do. It's very similar to that.
And the music is so sumptuous, right? And so beautiful throughout the piece, but especially in that.
Absolutely.
It's just breathtakingly beautiful.
Yeah, totally. And if people want to sing along at home during this broadcast, they're certainly welcome to do so.
Yes.
Or at least hum along, right?
Of course.
Yeah, Alyson Cambridge, along with pianist Kevin Bylsma. Alyson is going to sing the song Vilja, the Witch of the Wood. I should mention you're all singing in English, as we've heard, English translation. So this is an excerpt from The Merry Widow from Toledo Opera, here on Live from FM 91.
Now gather, as we've done before, to hear our favorite song of yore, about a maid of widespread fame. You know that Villa was her name. There once was a hunter a long time ago, who strayed from the path and got lost in the snow. But then a clearing, a beauty he spied. The fire in her eyes made him melt deep inside. Life would never be the same. His heart was turned to ice and flame. As he sighed, suddenly he knew her name. Villa, my witch of the wood, would I not die for you, dear, if I could? Villa, I'll make you my own. You will be mine, mine alone. She nodded her head, and the poor man obeyed, and so he was led to her moon-dappled glade. His heart turned to fire with the heat of her kiss. He knew that no mortal could love him like this. Suddenly she went away, and everything was cold and grey. Even now
That is soprano Alyson Cambridge performing the role of Hannah Glavari. Along with pianist Kevin Bylsma, we heard a very famous excerpt from the operetta The Merry Widow by Franz Lehar. That was Vilja, sung by Alyson here in our WGTE studios. I'm joined by cast members from Toledo Opera's production of The Merry Widow, also the co-directors, Jamie Offenbach and James Norman. And we also have Keith Phares here along with Alyson Cambridge. Earlier, we heard from another young couple in the production, that is Drake Dantzler as Camille and Carolyn Miller as Valencien. And before we end the program this morning, I want to see if anybody has any final words or anything you want to add to the discussions henceforth.
Yeah, I would just like to point out, for me, this is an especially important piece because, and time that we're doing it. We've just come out of this horrible time in our history, as humans, one of the worst ones. And this is a celebration. This is joyous. This is a time for people to come back into the theater, to experience live theater together, communicatively in a room where this live event is happening. I couldn't stress more how beautiful, how joyous this occasion is for not only the audience, but also for us as performers.
And this has something for everyone. If you've never been to the opera, this is something to experience.
Yeah.
You've got beautiful music, hilarious dialogue, and great dancing. And like Jamie said, it's very uplifting. If you don't leave the theater humming the tunes, something's wrong.
What about you, Keith? What do you have to say to potential audience members?
I've lost count of the number of times that I've been crying laughing in rehearsal because it's so funny. It's I don't get much of a chance to participate in a production like that, and that comes from the support that I feel from Jamie and Jim. I'm doing double duty right now. I'm teaching at BG and I'm coming into rehearsal, and when I come into rehearsal, my blood pressure drops 10 points, and it's truly hilarious, like Jim said.
Yeah,
it's the audience is in for a treat, maybe a surprise for some of them.
Yeah. What do you say, Alyson, to listeners?
You're going to come to the theater and you're going to have a really, really good time. I would challenge somebody not to. I was sitting in rehearsal the other day, and I texted one of my friends back home in New York, and I said, "We have got a show here." I was just so entertained, and I'm in the show, but I'm like, this is so much fun watching all my colleagues up there singing and dancing. And as like a lyric spinto soprano, I'm often getting killed or dying or killing someone else. And
careful, I may put that in, Alyson.
And I'm a naturally sort of happy, upbeat person, and it's so nice to sort of infuse that happiness and joy in the rehearsal room and into a show like this and just have a great time.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to that performance. Those performances, I should say. It's happening Friday, February 10th at 7:30 p.m., Sunday afternoon, February 12th at 2 o'clock p.m. at the Valentine Theater. More information on The Merry Widow by Franz Lehar can be found at the Toledo Opera website. That is toledoopera.org. You can also call them up at 419-255-SING or 419-255-7464. Toledo Opera is a sponsor of programs on FM 91. Well, thank you guys for joining us today and sharing your talents. We really look forward to your performance next week.
Mahalo.
Thank you, Brad.
You've been listening to Live from FM 91. The broadcast engineer for our program is Chris Pfeiffer, with assistance from Logan Cooney. I'm your host and producer, Brad Cresswell. Thanks for joining us today. You're on your public radio station, FM 91.